I never thought I would get this far, especially after I had to quit skating when I injured my back. But against the odds, I went from being a casual skater to an adult beginner who pushed past her limits and reached new heights. This is how I started my figure skating journey. Along the way, I discovered the pros and cons of group lessons, learned what private coaching was really like, and secured my very first pair of figure skates. Hi, I'm Jasmine, and I've always wanted to learn how to ice skate. Growing up, I watched movies like Ice Princess, which made it look so fun and pretty. I didn't have access to lessons, but I did go a handful of times with my family or friends to the ice rink. And I remember one particular time I went with my friend to Bryant Park in New York City, and we went and had a lot of fun while skating. But while I was there, I learned that if I had my own skates, I would have actually been able to skate for free. So I told my mom when I got home, and so we planned the trip to Modell's and bought some ice skates there. At the time I thought they were fancy ice skates, but no, they were not. So after that, I went to Bryant Park over the years a handful of times. It was just me limping around the ice, like struggling to pick my foot up and being scared and trying not to fall. Like I would just do that with my friends and it would be so much fun. Stopped doing it for a while because I got so busy with life, but I went back to it in February of 2020, which is a random day where I kind of was like, I'm gonna go to the ice rink by myself.
So I'm actually really scared because it's been at least 4 years since I've last ice skated, and I'm nuts, so probably gonna get all my fingers cut off and break a leg, so no problem. See you guys later. So I survived and I didn't fall on the ice, but one day I'm gonna be like, look Mom, no hands.
When I came home, I was like, people must do lessons for this or something, right? Because how would they learn all these things? So I went on to Google into hyperfixation mode, you know, and I found a rink that I could take lessons at. So I got really excited. I went to Excel to make my little budget sheet and everything so I could figure out how to afford the group lessons. I was figuring out my schedule, and then the pandemic happened and everything shut down, so I couldn't even start. But then in 2021, when things started opening up again, I was looking through the website again and saw that they brought back the lessons. So I signed up for lessons in the fall of 2021, and it came with 30 minutes of group lessons, 30 minutes of practice, and that was literally all I got because things were still shut down. There was no public skates, so I wasn't really learning very fast. It was a very slow roll. I was also using those same skates that I had, so they were kind of holding me back. And after about a month of doing these lessons, my coach was like, hey, maybe it's time for you to upgrade to some proper skates so that you can actually learn more properly. So I was like, bet, let me do it. So I went to the skate shop that she recommended and I got these Jackson RTs. She actually wanted me to get Jackson Mystiques, but they were sold out. The skate shop said I might as well just get the RTs with the same boots but different blades. And they warmed it up in the oven and put it on my feet, and that helped break them in a little bit more for me. And when I got these new skates, obviously it was an adjustment, but it really did make learning a lot easier. So it was definitely a much needed upgrade for me. So I was taking these group lessons and practicing for 30 minutes right afterwards, and I was learning my marches, my swizzles, getting more comfortable on the ice, you know, the basic stuff like that. And it was very helpful at first, but after some time I kind of started to plateau because a lot of new students came in, so a lot of times anyone who was more advanced didn't really get much instruction. So it was really just me practicing the same things over and over for a long time. So when mid-February, March of 2022 came, my coach was like, would you be interested in private lessons instead of group lessons? So I was like, sure, let me try that. And that's when things really started to change. And then on April 13th, my mom started recording me and my progress. So this was the first day that I started learning how to spin. And I was so excited. Like, it was such a little baby spin, like a little half rotation or maybe even a one full rotation if I got lucky. So I was so excited because I was like, oh, I'm finally spinning. I honestly felt like I was rotating way more than that too. And then on April 27th, I was getting more comfortable with my mom recording me, so I showed my 2-foot hop in place, which apparently was a really strong jump. My coach always told me that it was a nice high jump. This is what my forward swizzles look like. They were surprisingly very big. But I still couldn't snowplow stop, so I had to bang into the wall to stop. And this is what my backward swizzles look like. They're not as smooth, and one foot is definitely working harder than the other. I was also just really scared to go backwards. My coach also taught me backward shifts, which is kind of like what would happen if half swizzle pumps and a side lunge had a baby. I actually felt more comfortable doing backward shifts and backward swizzles. By the way, my ring dropped the mask requirement at this time, but I still wore it. You can see it hang out on my arm, but no one gets close to me when I practice, so I just took it off briefly when my mom was recording me. I was also working on my forward stroking at this time, which was very toe picky, and the extension was way off and done with no control whatsoever. It's funny because I cringe at it now, but at the time I was so proud of it. And then I did a dip, and I tried to stop and failed, so again, the wall. I also worked on my 1-foot glides, which didn't last very long. I could maybe hold them for a couple of seconds, but that was it. And my backward 1-foot glides were even worse. I was doing them from backward swizzles and they were very, very unstable. I didn't understand that my feet needed to be close together first before trying to pick my foot up, so yeah, they were kind of more of a swizzle march. And then I was also trying to do half swizzle pumps, but I was kind of just trying to do them on like a straight line. And then I transitioned onto the circle, and I wasn't really getting my edges right. Like, I didn't have really any concept of this outside edge thingy. And then when I was on the circle, I was also trying to do a 2-foot turn, which was a mess. Like, it was just me like you know, it was not great. It's so forced, not smooth at all, and always like just a step away from falling. It was just really just like you know, like As for my forward slaloms, my slaloms weren't really slaloming. It was more like I was just swinging my arm and yeeting myself forward with a side lunge half swizzle pump. But hey, it was getting me places, so it's still skating, right? And of course, I had to get some spinny spins on the camera, so my 2-foot spins were still very slow, but they were rotating more than they were before. I also look a lot more stable doing them than I did a couple of weeks before, although a lot of them still failed. Looking back at this, I can see I was relying on my arms to twist myself into the spin instead of using my half swizzle pump to generate power, but that's something that gradually came with more and more time. So yeah, I was making a lot of progress in private lessons, but obviously I wasn't like amazing yet at this time because I was still very much a beginner. I also have to say that during this time of March, April, May, I was also dealing with some knee issues, so I had to take a lot of breaks from skating, so I wasn't going every week either. And the next time my mom recorded me was on June 1st, so I got some clips of me just trying to stroke, still doing that really bad toe push. And from the stroke, I would try to do like these interesting different 1-foot glides, which actually just looked really weird. I don't know what I was doing, but I was just trying to put my leg in front of me, so I thought, oh, I saw other skaters around the rink doing this whole thing where they stroked and put their foot in front, so I was like, maybe I should try that too. And it was very bad technique. Bad technique aside, I remember feeling so cool for being able to do this. It was so fun to try something new and experiment, so don't be afraid to try random things. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in working on skills that we forget that skating is about having fun and trying new things, so do the thing. And then with my spins, they were still really inconsistent and hard for me to get right, but they looked much better and they were rotating a lot more too. I was still using my upper body twist to generate most of the spin, but for the spins that looks better, I can see I did a stronger pump and I sometimes even got 2 rotations, so yay! So I was definitely progressing, For everything I did, I was getting more bold and trying new things, you know, and things were improving. After this, I went to the rink maybe 2 more times, but then I was away. I went on a trip with my friends to Europe, so I went to Portugal, France, and London, and I was away for about 3 weeks. And when I came back, I went to 1 lesson, and then a little bit after that, I got sick with COVID, and I was really sick with COVID, so I didn't skate for a really long time after that, I think about a month or so. And then the next time that I went back to skate was just to have a leisure day with one of my best friends. And so I have these clips of me spinning. I was debating whether or not to include these because my friend unfortunately died this summer and I haven't accepted it. And I'm still really deep in the grief. Yeah, let me not talk about this. Yeah. Whew. So after that, I didn't really skate very often because I was dating someone who lived in a different state from me, and that meant I had to travel a lot. But there was a day in October where we decided to go on an ice skating date, and I was skating around. He decided to go into the coach box because he gave up on skating as soon as he got onto the ice. But here you can see some clips of me skating on the ice very briefly, struggling to spin with my hair the way it was because it was just whipping all over the place. And then after I came back from visiting him, I decided to go and have a lesson on a random Saturday morning in November. And so I ended up skating for 2.5 hours. And then after that, I actually walked home for like another 2 hours or more because my mom was able to drop me off for this lesson, but she wasn't able to pick me up. And I also knew public transportation was really inconsistent. So I was just like, I'm just gonna walk it. Why not? So that was the last time I skated in 2022, and then in 2023 I went back to the ice rink again a couple of times. Like there was a time when I went and I learned so much and I had a great time, and I actually made an ice skating friend, and so from there she invited me out to go skate one other time and we had a lot of fun. It was at Prospect Park. And then another time I had a lesson with my coach and my mom wasn't available to take me, so my coach actually picked me up from home and drove me to the rink and then drove me back afterwards. So it was really nice. My coach was very kind to me. I also got a haircut, so I was really feeling myself, and I was feeling like I was really progressing because I was going to the rink and I had actually gone a few times in close succession. So it was like I was learning and everything was compounding much more quickly. But then I unfortunately injured my back around January 20th or so. I had been feeling some back pains over the past few weeks, but I kind of just ignored them, and one day I just couldn't move. So I had to go to the ER. They didn't really do any diagnostic tests, but they told me that I essentially had back muscle spasms. So on one side of my body, it was all hard like a rock, and the other side was just regular. So my spine shifted over to this side, so my body was like this, you know. Prescribed me muscle relaxants and naproxen, and I was just on that for a while. I couldn't take care of myself, and I obviously couldn't do anything that I really enjoyed. It was just 24/7 pain, and being in this state made me very sedentary, and because of that my muscles atrophied and were replaced with a lot of fat, so I grew weaker and weaker and weaker. Like you can see in this video, like my body had like one side where it looked more normal with like the placement, and the other side it was like very sunken in and pulled in this weird direction, like forward and sinking in, and just very weak muscles. And this is after I had done PT for a few months and was doing a lot of strength training at home. So this was the best I was feeling for the first many months that I was experiencing this, but I was still in so much pain and my body was still really out of whack. But I just kept continuing on with the strength training because I knew that was the only way for me to get better. And by the time March of 2024 came, I was like maybe what I would call 70 to 80% recovered. And I was just like, I'm so tired. I'm just so tired of being sedentary, of not doing the things that I enjoy, of living life in fear of moving. So I was just like, YOLO, we're signing up for group lessons right now. And on March 10th of 2024, I started those lessons, and I call everything that happened before this day my day 0, month 0 of time, and this is the day 1 of when I restarted my journey. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was when I truly dedicated myself to learning how to figure skate, and I ended up exceeding my expectations over what I could accomplish over the next 6 months. But that will be continued in my 6-month progress video, which you can watch right here. But if it's not up yet, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on that video or any of my other future videos. And in the meantime, you can catch up with my figure skating vlogs that I started documenting in June of 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!